And then, of course, Prigozhin has gone further. He is now 400 or 500 kilometers from Moscow and seems to be intent on taking out senior leadership in the Russian military and the Defense Department and the intelligence community. This is a real serious threat to the continuation of Putin's regime.
How concerned should the West be by Prigozhin's march north, his march towards Moscow?
Whenever you have any kind of revolution or revolution-like activity like this, you worry about, well, what comes next? We have to remember that there are no good guys in this battle. Prigozhin is a thug. He's a murderous thug. When people desert the Wagner Group, when he captures them, he kills them with a sledgehammer to make an example out of them. He is a brutal, murderous thug. But he's, of course, taking on now an equally brutish, murderous, sociopathic thug in the form of Vladimir Putin. So there's no good guy in this struggle, and therefore there's unlikely to be any kind of outcome that the West is going to find favorable, or that is likely to put Russia back on a more democratic course. What it could do, however, is really unravel the stability of Russian military alignments over a 900-kilometer border with Ukraine. And so this could prove to be very favorable to the Ukrainian cause, but it could prove to be profoundly destabilizing internally in Russia.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're watching the Wagner Group advance in its mission in terms of taking the fight to Vladimir Putin, and that speaks to the loyalty of the Wagner Group forces to Prigozhin. What does it say that they were able to take over Rostov-on-Don, where Russia's headquarters for its war on Ukraine are headquartered, that they were able to take that city or take that headquarters without firing a shot, so they say. What does that say about the morale and or loyalty of Russian forces as this is going on?
I think that's the big question as we see events unfold. How loyal are the rank and file in the Russian military going to be to Vladimir Putin and to the Russian cause in Ukraine? The fact that Prigozhin was able, without firing a shot apparently, to take over the entire military command in Rostov-on-Don, which is the central command and control centerpiece for Russian activity in Ukraine, is a very alarming development from Vladimir Putin's point of view, or it should be. And it does raise questions about the loyalty of Russian troops as Prigozhin continues his march, apparently, to Moscow. Will they stay loyal to the state, or will they step aside, or will they, in fact, defect to Prigozhin? I think that's why we see Putin in his public statements and in his speech a few hours ago actually show real concern and talk about the possibility of a civil war.
Clearly, he's concerned about the Wagner Group, potentially maybe concerned about the loyalty of the Russian forces, perhaps. But what about the loyalty of the Russian people? I mean, you're on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Have you seen or heard any indicator that what's happening in Russia right now might be giving license to Russian citizens to more actively or more publicly resist Putin?
I don't think we see any signs of widespread disaffection. I think what we see is indifference and complacency because the state-controlled media has been propagandizing the Russian public since this war began, and even indeed before. I think Russians are patriotic by nature, and their inclination will be to rise and rally to the cause of the state. But what really matters is, but what about the Russian military? And as you indicated, they are ill-trained, ill-equipped, and very demoralized. There's no appetite for pursuing aggression in Ukraine. And so I think Prigozhin